You are standing in your kitchen on a Tuesday evening, the hum of the refrigerator providing that subconscious comfort of normalcy, while outside, the world is preparing to dismantle itself. Before we dive into the hard truth about why your neighborhood is the most dangerous place you will be when the lights go out, take a moment to subscribe to Survive 72. We are here to strip away the tactical fantasies and focus on the cold, hard psychology of urban survival. Forget the 30-pound plate carriers and the crates of dehydrated beef stroganoff for a moment, because those things will not save you when the grid collapses. The reality is that the most immediate threat to your home, your pantry and your family is not a foreign army or a roving band of marauders from the city center. It is the guy who mows his lawn on Sunday mornings. It is the woman who drops her kids off at the bus stop with you every single day. The 3-hour rule is simple and brutal, and if you do not understand it, you are already behind. Within 3 hours of a total grid down scenario, the social contract as you know it will begin to evaporate. In those first 180 minutes, your neighbors will move from the phase of confusion and frantic phone calls to the phase of desperate resource assessment. When they look out their windows and see your house sitting there, dark but intact, they are not seeing a friend or a community member anymore. They are seeing a potential survival asset. Most preppers spend their time focusing on the perimeter, installing expensive locks, or reinforcing doors that will eventually be tested by the weight of a desperate crowd. This is a fundamental mistake because it focuses on the hardware rather than the software of human behavior. You are worried about the wrong kind of defense. If you have spent the last 3 years building a fortress, you have effectively painted a giant red target on your front door. The grey man philosophy is not about hiding in the shadows. It is about becoming so unremarkable that you cease to exist in the calculation of your neighbors. When the power cuts out and the cellular towers fail, people will immediately look for a leader or a source of information. If you are the guy who has been prepping overtly, flashing tactical gear, or constantly talking about your stockpile, you have already lost. You become the first person they approach. If you help them, you drain your resources to the point of vulnerability. If you refuse them, you become the enemy of the block. Both paths lead to a confrontation that you cannot win because you are outnumbered and your home is a fixed location. You are not fighting a tactical skirmish against a trained force. You are fighting the desperate, irrational and starving instincts of the people who live within 50 feet of your bedroom. Let us look at the psychology of the first 3 hours. When the silence hits, the human brain enters a state of rapid-fire risk assessment. Initially, there is denial. People will assume the power will return by morning, but as the clock ticks past the 2-hour mark, when the internet remains dead and the streetlights stay dark, that denial curdles into anxiety. People begin to realize that the systems they rely on, the grocery store, the pharmacy, the water utility, are not coming back tonight. They look at their cupboards, they look at their children, they look at their bank accounts, which now represent nothing more than digital ghosts. Then they look at you. They remember that you were the one with the generator, or the one with the extra vehicle, or simply the one who looked like he had his life together. In those 3 hours, your neighbor's brain is shifting from the social mindset of a suburban resident to the primal mindset of a scavenger. If you have made your home a visible center of preparedness, you have inadvertently declared yourself the supply depot for the entire cul-de-sac. The biggest mistake preppers make is the fetishization of gear. We have all seen the videos of people showing off their massive walls of canned food and sophisticated weapon systems. That is entertainment, not survival. When the grid goes down, your neighbor does not care about your high-end optics or your tactical vest. He cares that he is hungry and his kids are crying. A mob of suburbanites is not a military unit, but they are a force of nature. They do not need to be well trained to overwhelm your security. They just need to be numerous and desperate. If you have spent your time and money on flash, you have neglected the art of social camouflage. True survival in an urban environment is about being invisible. You want your house to look exactly like the house of someone who is just as lost, scared, and unprepared as everyone else. If your house looks like a bunker, it will be treated like a target. If your house looks like a house that has nothing to offer, it will be ignored in favor of easier, softer, or more visible targets. You need to understand that operational security is not just about keeping your location secret. It is about managing the perception of your neighbors. Before the grid fails, you must cultivate a persona. If you are the guy who is always prepared, you are the guy who will be held accountable when the world turns upside down. You need to be the person who is seen as having just enough to get by, but never enough to share. This is the hardest psychological pill for a good person to swallow. We are taught to be helpful, to be the pillars of our community, to provide for those in need. But in a total grid down situation where the state has failed, you are no longer a citizen of a community. You are the guardian of your family's life. Every ounce of water or food you give away is an ounce taken out of the mouths of your own children. This is the brutal reality of the 3-hour rule. You have to decide right now who you are going to be. If you choose to be the neighborhood hero, make sure you have the resources to sustain the entire street for months, because that is what you are signing up for. If you cannot do that, then you must accept that your goal is to stay under the radar. Let us talk about the concept of the gray man in practice. It is not about a costume. It is about a lifestyle that breeds indifference. If you are seen carrying heavy gear, stop. If you are seen talking about political instability, stop. If you have signs on your property that scream tactical readiness, remove them. Your home should be the most boring house on the block. The goal is for your neighbors to look at your house and think, oh, they are just like us, they have nothing to provide. You want them to look past you for their solutions. This requires you to act the part every single day, not just when the emergency hits. If you are a prepper today, you are a prepper for the next 10 years. You do not just turn it on when the lights go out. If you have been the loud, opinionated, gear-obsessed person for years, you cannot suddenly disappear into the background when the disaster happens. You are already known. That is why your reputation matters more than your inventory. Think about the dynamics of your street. Who are the people who are likely to turn on each other first? It is always the people who have the most visible assets. If you have a massive solar array, a custom-built shed, or a fence that is taller than everyone else's, you have already failed the gray man test. You have marked yourself as different. In a crisis, difference is a danger. People react to fear with aggression, and fear is triggered by the unknown. If they know you, they know your assets. If they perceive you as having more, they will naturally feel entitled to redistribute your resources. This is not about being a bad neighbor. It is about understanding human nature under extreme duress. When survival is on the line, the veneer of civilization is thin enough to see through in 3 hours. Do not rely on the hope that your neighbor is a good person. Even good people do terrible things when they are backed into a corner by the terror of a child's hunger. You should be focused on low-profile systems. If you need power, find a way to store it that does not involve a loud, obvious generator running for hours on your patio. If you need water, ensure your storage is internal and inconspicuous. If you are stockpiling food, do it in a way that doesn't involve boxes piled high in your garage or a parade of cardboard deliveries that everyone on the street can see. The more you can conceal, the better your chances of surviving the first 72 hours without becoming the focal point of the neighborhood's desperation. It is about the subtle integration of your survival needs into the mundane reality of daily life. This takes discipline. It takes the ability to keep your mouth shut while others are panicking. The most dangerous person in a grid-down situation is the one who is talking, the one who is gathering a group, the one who is trying to lead. Do not be that person. Be the one who is quietly assessing the situation, securing the perimeter, and waiting for the volatility to settle. The first 3 hours are the most volatile because they are filled with the highest level of uncertainty. Once people start making decisions, once they start deciding who to trust and who to raid, the momentum of the neighborhood will be set. If you are not part of the initial wave of chaos, if you are not identified as a resource, you have a much higher chance of remaining undisturbed. This is why the 3-hour rule is so critical. You have to be invisible before the sun sets on that first day. If you wait until the chaos starts to try to hide your assets, it is already too late. You will be observed. Someone will see you carrying a backpack, someone will see you digging in your yard, someone will see you boarding up a window. You must be prepared for the event before the event happens, which means your home must be ready to blend in long before the crisis arrives. Consider the layout of your home and your neighborhood. Are you in a high-density area? If you are, your risk of neighbor-to-neighbor conflict is exponentially higher. In an apartment complex or a tight suburban block, you are physically unable to avoid the people around you. This is why urban survival is so dramatically different from rural survival. In a rural environment, you can hide behind distance. In an urban environment, you are trapped in a cage with your neighbors. If you are in this situation, your only defense is social engineering. You need to be the person who is seen as unreliable, as broke, as someone who doesn't have anything worth taking. This is a difficult image to project, but it is necessary. If you are the guy who is always complaining about his budget, who is always struggling with his car, who is always talking about his problems, you are essentially creating a shield of insignificance. People do not rob those who look like they have nothing to lose. This brings us to the psychological trap of the suburban prepper. Many people want to be the hero of their own survival story. They want to be the one who leads the neighborhood watch, who organizes the defense, who stands guard with a rifle in their hand. This is the stuff of movies, and it is the fastest way to get your home targeted or yourself killed. If you create a neighborhood defense force, you are creating a center of gravity. That center of gravity will be the first thing a desperate mob attacks. They will not attack you one by one. They will attack the group. And if you are the leader of that group, you are the face of it. Never, ever volunteer to be the leader of an ad hoc neighborhood group. You are taking on the responsibilities of a government without the resources of a government. You are setting yourself up to be the scapegoat when things go wrong, which they inevitably will. Instead, prioritize your own family unit. Your duty is to keep your family alive, not to save the block. If you are busy trying to save your neighbors, you are not focused on the security of your own home. You are distracted, you are tired, and you are exposing your own assets to people who are observing your every move. This is the hardest truth of the gray man philosophy. You must have the courage to walk away. You must have the strength to say no. When the neighbor comes knocking for water, you must be prepared to be the one who has none to spare. This does not mean you have to be cruel, but it does mean you have to be firm. If you provide for one, you must provide for all, and you simply cannot afford to do that. The moment you break your own security protocol to help one person, you have opened the door for everyone. The 3-hour rule is a reflection of the speed at which societal norms decay. We have seen it in every major disaster, every blackout, and every riot. The transition from neighbor to competitor is almost instantaneous. When you remove the threat of law enforcement, the only thing keeping people from taking what they need is their own internal moral compass and the fear of consequences. If the neighborhood sees that you are prepared, they will perceive you as the source of their salvation, and when that salvation is not forthcoming on their terms, they will see you as the source of their frustration. You cannot win that battle. You have to ensure that they don't even consider you in their list of options. This is why you must avoid the tactical aesthetic. Do not wear camo. Do not have gear lying around. Do not look like a soldier. Look like a guy who is worried about his job and his bills because that is what everyone else looks like. Let's talk about the specific actions you need to take right now to prepare for those first 3 hours. First, harden your home from the inside. Do not put bars on your windows that look like a prison. Use internal security film or reinforce your existing locks with heavy-duty hidden hardware. Make your exterior look as standard as possible. Replace the fancy, expensive lights with basic ones. Clean up your yard. Do not have a pile of wood or a stash of fuel that is visible from the street. If you have a generator, keep it in the garage or a sound dampening enclosure and only run it when absolutely necessary, and always with a plan to mask the noise and the light. Your home should be dark, quiet, and indistinguishable from the other houses on your block. If you can achieve that visual uniformity, you have won half the battle. Second, work on your communication strategy, by which I mean have none. Do not be the person who is running around the neighborhood sharing the latest rumors or trying to organize a meeting. The more you communicate with your neighbors, the more you are establishing a network that will inevitably become a liability. You want to be the person who is seen as quiet, maybe a bit antisocial, and certainly not the person to go to for help. This is the opposite of what we are told to be in normal life. But in a grid-down scenario, silence is your best security feature. If people do not know you, they do not think about you. If they do not think about you, they do not bother you. This is the essence of the grey man. Third, manage your family's expectations. Your spouse and your children need to understand that when the grid goes down, things change. They need to know that they cannot go out and show people what you have. They need to know that they cannot be the hero. They need to be as quiet as you are. If you have children, this is the most difficult challenge. You have to explain to them in a way that doesn't terrify them that they need to stay inside and be invisible. This is not about fear. It is about safety. It is about a tactical awareness that they need to adopt as their own. If your family is not on board with the grey man philosophy, your cover will be blown in the first hour. Your spouse talking to the neighbor across the fence can undo months of preparation. Fourth, manage your inventory. You need to store your supplies in a way that is distributed and unobtrusive. Do not put all your food in one pantry. Do not put all your water in one corner. Use the existing structure of your home to hide your resources. Use the space under the floorboards, the back of the closets, the attic, the garage. Not in a way that makes it look like a hoard, but in a way that makes it look like a normal home with normal storage. If you ever have to evacuate, you want to be able to leave without exposing your entire stockpile. If you are staying, you want to be able to live for weeks without showing anyone what you have. This level of organization is what separates the people who survive from the people who are targeted. Fifth, prepare for the psychological shift. The first 3 hours are when you will be the most tempted to act, to do something, to be part of the solution. You must resist this. Your impulse to help, to organize, to lead, these are the things that will get you killed. You must remain cold, focused, and objective. You must treat your situation with the detachment of a professional. You are not a neighbor who is having a bad day. You are a person surviving a catastrophe. The difference in mindset is the difference between life and death. Now consider the long-term reality. Once the first 72 hours are over, if you have remained invisible, you have bought yourself the time you need to assess the next stage of the crisis. You have not drawn attention to yourself. You have not engaged in unnecessary conflict, and you still have your resources intact. Now you can start to think about the next steps. But the first 3 hours are the filter. They are the crucible. If you fail in those first 3 hours, you will never get to the next 72. Most of the threats you face in an urban environment will be resolved in those first 3 hours. Either you will be identified as a target and dealt with, or you will remain invisible and survive to fight another day. It is important to remember that this is not about being a coward. This is about being smart. It is about acknowledging that you are in an urban environment and you are surrounded by people who will be desperate in a way that you cannot fully comprehend until it happens. You are not fighting a war against an external enemy, you are managing a situation of extreme social instability. The most dangerous weapon in a grid-down scenario is not a gun, it is the collective desperation of a group of people who have lost their connection to the systems that provide for them. If you cannot manage that, no amount of gear will save you. You are the architect of your own survival, and every decision you make, from the way you paint your fence to the way you talk to your neighbors, is a brick in that wall of security. You have heard the stories of the looting, the violence, and the chaos. Those stories are real, but they are often portrayed as random events. They are not. They are the result of social systems breaking down and the resulting vacuum being filled by the most desperate elements. If you want to avoid becoming a part of those stories, you have to ensure that your home is not on the map. You have to be the house that nobody notices, the family that nobody talks about, the person that nobody thinks to ask for help. This requires a level of consistency and discipline that most people find exhausting. It requires you to be fake, to be boring, to be uninteresting for years, just in case the grid goes down for 3 hours. But that is the price of survival in the modern urban landscape. We often talk about the importance of community in survival, and in the right context, that is true. But in an urban environment with people you do not know or neighbors you do not trust, Community is a liability until it is proven otherwise. You cannot afford to build a community in the middle of a disaster. You must have those relationships built beforehand, and they must be based on more than just proximity. If you do not have a pre-existing, strong, reliable network, do not try to build one when the power goes out. You will be building it on a foundation of sand. You will be attracting the wrong people, or you will be exposing your vulnerabilities. Stick to your own family. Focus on your own security. Let others figure out their own way. It is a harsh reality, but it is the truth. The 3-hour rule is about realizing that you have a very narrow window to establish your position in the new reality. If you miss that window, you are forced to react to the actions of others. You are on the defensive. If you establish your position correctly, if you are the silent, prepared and invisible center of your own family, you are in control. You are not playing by the rules of the mob. You are playing by the rules of your own survival. This is the difference between the ones who are struggling to hold on and the ones who have a plan. Think about the psychological impact of the silence. When the noise of the world stops, the natural instinct is to reconnect. We want to hear a voice. We want to know what is happening. We want to feel like we are part of something. That is exactly what the mob will be doing. They will be reaching out, they will be searching, they will be trying to recreate the social order. Do not be the one who facilitates that. Do not be the one who offers a voice, a light, or a source of information. Let them search. Let them look elsewhere. Your goal is to be the person who is not there, even though you are. Your goal is to be the shadow that is ignored. As you reflect on this, consider the items in your home. Are they a reflection of who you are, or are they a liability? Every item you own is a potential asset to someone else. Are you making it easy for them to take it? Are you keeping your most valuable survival items in the most visible places? Are you keeping your weapons in plain sight? Are you keeping your food in the garage? If you are telling everyone who walks by exactly what you have. You need to reorganize your life. You need to think like a thief. If you were a desperate neighbor looking for something to take, what would you look for in your own house? If you can answer that question, you can start to hide it. This is the level of detail we are talking about here. This is not about the grand Hollywood version of the collapse. This is about the gritty, boring, painful reality of keeping your family safe in a hostile environment. It is about understanding that your neighbor is your greatest threat because he is the one who knows you, he is the one who sees you, and he is the one who will be looking for a way to save his family at the cost of yours. It is a terrible thing to think about, but it is the reality of the situation. You do not have the luxury of being naive. You have to be realistic, you have to be prepared, and you have to be ready to do what is necessary to survive. As we look at the potential for global instability, the risk of a grid down event is not zero. It is something we all need to be concerned about. But the solution is not more gear. The solution is more intelligence. It is the ability to adapt, the ability to disappear, and the ability to act with cold, calculated precision. It is the ability to understand human psychology and to use it to your advantage. It is the ability to be a gray man. That is what Survive 72 is all about. We are not here to sell you fear. We are here to sell you the truth. And the truth is, you are the most powerful tool you have. You do not need a bunker. You need a brain. You do not need a fortress. You need a strategy. You do not need a team. You need your family. When you look back on this video, I want you to remember one thing, the 3-hour rule. If you are prepared for those first 3 hours, you are prepared for the rest. If you are not, you are just waiting to be a victim of your own surroundings. You have the power to change this. You have the power to take control of your situation. You have the power to protect your family in a way that is effective, sustainable, and entirely within your control. Do not waste this time. Do not spend it on tactical fantasies. Spend it on the hard, boring work of survival. Spend it on becoming the person who makes it through the other side of the collapse. Not because you were the loudest, not because you were the strongest, but because you were the most prepared. The grid down scenario is the ultimate test of character. It is the moment when the mask comes off and we see who we really are. Are you the one who is going to be a victim of your circumstances? Or are you the one who is going to rise to the challenge? The choice is yours. and it is a choice you are making every single day, in every single decision you make. Don't wait for the lights to go out to decide who you are. Decide now. Be the person who is ready. Be the person who is invisible. Be the person who is still standing when everyone else has fallen. We are just scratching the surface of what it means to survive in an urban environment. There is so much more to learn, so many more strategies to implement, and so many more ways to stay safe. If you have found this information valuable, if it has challenged the way you think about survival, then I encourage you to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications. We are committed to bringing you the truth about survival, the kind of truth that is not always comfortable, but is always necessary. We are building a community of people who understand the reality of the situation, and we want you to be a part of it. Share this with your friends and family, because the more people who understand the reality of the situation, the better off we all are. And remember, the survival of your family depends on you, and you are the only one who can ensure their safety. Take this seriously, start your preparation today, and join us on our journey to be the best prepared people on the planet. As we wrap up, take a moment to consider your next steps. Go home, walk through your front door, and look at your space through the eyes of a stranger. What do you see? Do you see a target or do you see a home? Do you see a resource or do you see a mystery? The answer to that question is your starting point. You have the tools, you have the knowledge, and now you have the plan. The rest is up to you. Stay vigilant, stay smart, and above all, stay invisible. The grid down is not an event you can predict, but it is an event you can survive if you are prepared. The 3-hour rule is your guide, and as long as you follow it, you have a chance. Do not give up, do not stop preparing, and do not let your guard down. We will be here for you, providing the information you need to stay safe, stay secure, and stay alive. Thank you for watching, and stay prepared.